You ready for a piece of advice that took me 30 years to come to? Well, it's coming right after this.
A better you starts today.
What a coming. I wonder if this video is already demonetized. I said so much in the intro. Well, I'm not doing it again. That's what I learned, to own who you are. A goon. And also I learned this as well. Hey, by the way, if you've never seen me before, yes, I do just make a bunch of masturbatory jokes all the time. And you could be one of the lucky people that signs up and subscribes to this. And let's see if you get some value out of this. Because this is, honestly, the primary lesson that I learn over and over again. We do self-help all the time, by the way. But the primary lesson that I've learned over and over, and the more that you study successful people, the more that you read their biographies, the more that you read surveys of people in a respective field, you know what they all come to? This is the same conclusion they come to every single time. There is a recipe for success. And I want you to write that down now. There is a recipe for success. Don't put my stutter in there. Oh yeah, no, do it. Why not? I don't care. There is a recipe for the success. There is a recipe for the success, and the recipe for the success was not come up with you. And guess what? It's not even plagiarism, because the person that came up with that recipe stole it from someone else. I'll give you a really good example of this. I'm on YouTube. Okay, that didn't exist. I can pat myself on the head and say, oh, I did all these very innovative things. And look, okay, I'm me. There's only one me. And so it has to be very special in its own way. But really, if you think about the dynamics of what I have done on the main channel, by the way. Yeah, I've got a main channel. Hello. This is not. The background is definitely real, though, by the way. For those of you who keep asking. Yeah. YouTube might be new. But you know what YouTube's stealing off of? Television. And you know what television is stealing off of? Radio. And you know what radio's stealing off of? Paper. And you know what the paper's stealing off of? Gestures on the street. I don't know. Look, I didn't think that far back. But look, that's been around for a while. There was the first newspaper was in China in 5000 BC or whatever. So that is an old recipe. I think that it is past the, intellectual property age at that point. You can go get your Wagner on now. Just steal his songs. Yeah, that was mine. I'm sure that you can steal the concepts that were from Chinese newspapers that have been refined over the years, sure. But the same dynamics of what get people to read and what get people to watch hasn't changed. I remember reading a book about media bias. Usually I talk about media bias on the main channel. And in that book, I done read a lot. I highlighted one piece that I always frequently forget, constantly, even though this is in my field, even though if I follow just this recipe, I would be far more successful in what I'm trying to do, which is that a newspaper proprietor, this was at the turn of the century, like 1910 or something like that, he wrote this memo to all of the people in his newspaper. He wrote, people are more interesting than things. People are more interesting than things. The reason that he got the head on the rest of the mastheads was because while the rest of them would be sitting there and saying, the weather was this temperature and this happened in Parliament today, this bill was passed. What was he doing? Sex scandal of the rich and famous. Oh, someone was murdered. Also, here's my political beliefs. But, oh, look at this sports star. He was caught with his cock out. Sounds more 80s than 1880s, but that was the formula. Always. You want to sell papers, you talk about crime, you talk about sexual intrigue, you talk about sport. They got the formula back then. It hasn't changed. You do exactly the same things now, you'll get exactly the same response from human beings. Because human beings, by and large, just want the same result. You press a little button in them, they get it. It's the same thing with McDonald's. They have just refined food to the point where no one really hates McDonald's. I know that there's a lot of people out there that think like, oh, I hate McDonald's. I think it's like maybe vague hippie chicks in Byron Bay. But even then, I honestly think a big ego thing about them is, I hate McDonald's. And then I bet you they drive to the one in Grafton. Can I have a filet-o-fish, please? No one really hates McDonald's. But on the other end, don't you think it is just as rare to find someone that really likes McDonald's? What is the successful formula of it? Just heaps of fat. Don't you reckon? Heaps of fat, heaps of salt. There you go. Done. Literally a recipe. Literally a recipe to success. It's the same thing with everything in life. Anything that you are doing right now, I'm telling you, the reason that you don't already have what you're doing, or at the very least not on the speed super highway to there, is because you're thinking in your head, no, I'm very special and unique, and I want to do things differently my way. And guess what happens at the end? Over and over again. You get on the highway because you realize the other people went and tried to make their own little cutting through the Amazon jungle. And then they realize, oh, there's just more jungle. The formula is there. The formula works. You can either take the formula or you can just waste your life in the reeds. Not even the reeds, the thick jungle. Do you want to be doing that? With all the mosquitoes, and I'm sure there's other things in there, such as flies. That'd be the worst thing in the Amazon. Yeah. I think that that's honestly the thing that I keep coming back to. And I'm such an idiot that I never take that advice, even though I know it, even though it has been instilled in my head. So I'm just saying it to you right now because I think that there is something right now in your life that you are doing this with, that you are off the highway. And the highway is you follow these 3 things, you're on the highway. But you're doing 12 and you're doing experimental things. It's exactly the same with like music, for instance. Everybody always says, I want to be a musician and I want to be a successful musician, but I don't want to sell out. Good luck. Good luck. Even the ones that musicians will know this. Even the ones that people think like, oh, they're so unique and edgy. They're not though, are they? Are they? They're really following the same chords. They're following the same progressions. They're just doing the same stuff. There is just a formula that works and a formula that doesn't work. And most formulas don't work. And all the formulas that do work have already been discovered. And so you are going to be in a very good position for the rest of your life if you are able to follow just this. If you just look at somebody who about 5 years ahead of you is doing what you want to be doing in 5 years. If you just follow that for the rest of your life, man, you will save years. You will save years and years of your life. Years of struggle. Needless struggle. Because the thing is, look, follow the recipe, figure out how it works, get yourself ingrained in it, then do stupid experiments, then realize it doesn't work, and then go back to the recipe. That is the key to success, honestly, is that you just understanding and being humble enough to realize you are not unique and special. The people that are watching you right now, just like everybody else, it doesn't matter if you're doing art, it doesn't matter if you're starting your own business, it doesn't matter if you've got your own side hustle idea. They don't care about you. They care about the products that you are giving them. And they want a consistent product. It's like people that go in and just like, I'm going to reinvent soap. Good for you. Do it. Let's just go back to making Dove. Of course you will. So anyway, that is honestly, I think, the best piece of advice that I can ever give anybody ever. If you just listen to that and don't subscribe, which I think you should, but if you don't subscribe and you just followed that, you'd be set. But here's the problem, and here's my pitch for why you should subscribe. And sign up to my Patreon, where you get up to 3 extra videos a week. The reason that you should do that is because you need someone endlessly hammering these points in your head, because what is the natural proclivity of the human being? The natural proclivity of the human being is, yeah, but doing the same thing over and over again is boring. I want to do different things. Oh, I'm not going anywhere in life. Oh, it's everyone else's fault but mine. Life is unfair. That's how the human mind goes. It just goes down a negative spiral and it just starts doing things that are weird and not conducive. You need someone to just like, hey, dog, back on the path. Over and over again. That's all you're paying for. A human dog trainer. Let me be your dog trainer. I can guarantee you I'll get you better results. Like a dog that is just sort of disobedient and digging up in the garage. How much better would it be if you just had some British lady that's quite bulky with a whistle? Stop that right now! That's what that is. You sign up to that, you are going to get better results. Everybody that signs up to Jordan Shank's Patreon does, because that is the basic of success. You need a coach. You need one. Anyway, that's one pitch. The other pitch is that I've got seminars. Go sign up for them. Exactly the same reasons why. And if you can't do any of those, if you are just a cheapskate, seminars are great, by the way. What a blast. But because it's just like, look, you are surrounded by a bunch of people that are transforming, and there is just nothing like that atmosphere. It's like, you know, watching TikToks of a comedian is nowhere near as good as being in the room as the comedian. It just never is. Live events are always way better. But If you can't go to those because you're just too much of a cheap ass, fine. Subscribe though. Subscribe because I'm telling you now that even though I told you that, you are going to go, yeah. And then you're going to click on the next thing. Oh my God, Taylor Swift did what? I'm so much better than Taylor Swift. She really screwed up this time, even though she didn't. This is what's going to happen. You got to forget it. You're going to go, yeah, I already knew that. And then move on with your life. That is a recipe for failure. It really is. There is nothing more of a guaranteed recipe for failure than not being able to repeat things. And the way that you repeat things is that you make them unique in your own mind. That is an endless game, an endless struggle that you have to keep with yourself. You have to keep in a superior psychology to keep doing what is mastery, which is doing the same thing over and over again. You try and do it by yourself. And then, like everyone else, you're just going to come back, aren't you?